Hello and welcome to today's presentation. My name is Elliott Lawrence and I am the 4-H educator in Lucas County. And I'm going to be presenting today about virtual reality and how you can use that in your club settings. So I do have a PowerPoint that we're going to start up here. And let me hold on one second. We'll get it going. Okay, so virtual reality as an educational tool. We're going to talk a little bit today about what is virtual reality. So a lot of you might be hearing the words virtual reality right now, and you might be thinking to yourself, no clue what virtual reality really is or how I'm going to use that in a club setting. Today I'm going to break down what virtual reality is and how we can use those in a club setting. And right now is a really good time to be able to use virtual reality because kids are stuck at home right now, and so it's a really good time to get out there and explore the world that is around us. So really quick, what virtual reality can be kind of defined as, it's a computer-generated simulation of a three-dimensional image or environment that can be interacted with in a seemingly real or physical way by a person using special electronic equipment such as a helmet with a screen inside or gloves fitted with sensors. So that's a fancy way of saying it's electronic adaptation of the real world. So you kind of look into a screen and you can see all around you. And the important part is true virtual reality is able to be manipulated by the user. So that's one of the most important parts that I'm going to go over today. Is I'm going to use a tool that the user can interact with and be able to look around at their pleasure. So how can you use virtual reality in a classroom or in a club environment? I know a lot of people that are probably going to be listening to this or watching this presentation are club advisors, so it's a really good way of interacting in the virtual world while using virtual reality. So how can we do it? Take a field trip. A field trip can be discussed in two separate methods. A traditional field trip where students or youth go and visit an off-site location normal from their learning environment, or what we're going to talk about today, a virtual field trip where students explore a region or area of focus that they're not physically present. So it's off-site learning, but maybe they're in their house or back when we can start meeting again as clubs. They can meet in the club environment and be able to look at different areas that they might not be able to go to. The virtual field trips are given all around the entire world, so it's a pretty neat experience. So really, how can you take a virtual field trip using virtual reality? That's a big question. Like, how does it work? What's the technology behind it? How do you find the information that we're going to that you use for a virtual field trip? Well, I'm going to show you. One of the coolest things is called Google Cardboard, and on the screen here it shows a picture of it. And Google Cardboard is something that came out quite a few years ago. Actually, it's been around for a pretty long time now, and it's pretty simple. As you can see, it's made of cardboard, hence the name Google Cardboard. And you stick a device in the front end of it, which is usually a phone or an iPod Touch or something like that. And you put the device in the front of it, and then the way the screen works, it will actually look like a three-dimensional image. And working with the sensors inside of that phone and that device, when the child moves around, it's also going to show moving around as well. So it's a 360-degree picture. So when they look up with their goggles on, it's going to look up to see what's on the ceiling. When they look down with their goggles on, it's going to look to see what's on the floor, and they can look 360 degrees around them as well. It's pretty neat technology, and we'll talk about a little bit, and I'll show you a little bit of an example of how that works near the end of this presentation. The big piece of software I'm going to look at today, I'm going to show you guys about today is Google Expeditions. So Google Expeditions is a software suite made by Google. It's completely free. You don't have to pay for it. There's no licensing, anything like that. All you have to have is a Google account, which Google accounts are free to make. A Gmail account is a free Google account to make, and that's all you need. If you want to, and you should be able to, I'm not sure, I've never tried it on a recording, but if you scan the QR code in the bottom left corner of this slide, it'll send you to the Google Expeditions website to talk a little bit more about what Google Expeditions are. And we'll get into what Google Expeditions are as well. This is a video. I think because we are limited, I am limited on the amount of time that I have for this presentation. I think we'll skip the video, but it's kind of actually, I think we will play the video. It's only a couple minutes, so we should be able to play it.
My name is Lance Tiesling. I'm in middle school in Eagle Grove, Iowa. Eagle Grove is not a very tall place. It's actually very flat. This is the tallest building on Main Street. It is about 50 feet tall. When I grew up, I want to be an architect and design skyscrapers. Yesterday at school, we went on a class trip, but this was not a normal trip with buses. This was something very different. The very first expedition we went on was to the Burj Khalifa.
Go ahead and grab 2 hands and put them up to your face.
It's so tall.
Okay, we're gonna go to the 153rd floor.
So that kind of shows you how fun it is and how exciting these kids get about this kind of stuff. It's really cool. I mean, even as a person that's not a child, I put them on, and some of the expeditions that I've looked up before are just really, really fascinating, because there are places that I've never been to. Obviously, that video was the Burj Khalifa, and I've never been to the Burj Khalifa. So it's really neat to be able to take them on these explorations. So the sample lesson I have up now is something that Google has an opportunity, they have available for anyone to download, and it gives objectives, and then it also tells you what coordinating expedition you would use for this. So in this sample lesson, the coordinating expedition is the TP. So when you go to the expedition's website, in the app, all you have to do is type in TP, and it'll come up with the right expedition. And then it has some questions that you can ask your students, or ask the kids that are doing this, to kind of get them interested in Native American culture and kind of what they're seeing. So in order to do this, the example I have up here obviously is wildly expensive, and I really doubt that a 4-H club is going to spend $7,000 on a Google Expeditions kit, but it has everything that's needed. So the reason I have this up here is it's kind of I kind of want to just point out what's needed. So the things that are needed. Some sort of tablet, an iPad works fine, or an Android tablet, something like that. And then you need a phone, or what they call the user device, for every set of goggles that you have. So if you have 20 goggles, you need 20 phones to put inside of those goggles. And that's kind of the most expensive part. Now, what I've tried before is I've asked my 4-H members if you've got some old phones laying around, and they still work, donate them to my office, and we can use them. I'll reformat them and be able to use them. They don't need cell phone service. It just needs Wi-Fi service to connect to the router. then that's the other thing that you need is a router. If the location you have for your meetings has Wi-Fi, you might want to bring the devices in and check first, because a lot of Wi-Fi does not work with expeditions because the devices are seeing each other. So kind of as a security feature, a lot of public Wi-Fi does not allow other devices to see other devices that are on that Wi-Fi. And that's the whole point of this, and kind of how it works. So make sure that it works. Or I bought a $20 router from Amazon, and it works like a charm. You don't even have to have internet. You just, all it does is it uses the router to see each other. So it's super easy to set up with that part, and it was very inexpensive. Another option is they do make, Google does make DIY Google Cardboard kits, and this is kind of a fun experiment. You can use it as a craft activity. You have the kids make their own, and when they get done making them and using them, they can take them home. And there's a lot of stuff you can explore with virtual reality that does not include Google Expedition. There's stuff that's standalone, so all they would need is this Google Cardboard, and then their phone or their parents' phone or whoever's phone, or an iPod Touch or something like that. And so all they'd have to have are those two things, and they can do a lot of cool stuff with that, even with just those things. Also, pre-assembled Google Cardboard. There's the cardboard version, which is what you have, what are in that picture right there. And then there's also the plastic versions, which if I went back a couple slides, you could see kind of an example of the plastic version. Those plastic versions are super cheap these days. They're actually cheaper than the cardboard ones, which I don't understand why. I got mine at Walmart a little while before, about a year ago, I think it was, and it was 50 cents. They were literally 50 cents a piece. And so I picked up 20 of them for $10. So it was a good deal. I think Walmart right now is charging $1 for them, which is still a really good deal. You can either have your kids buy them for $1, or you could even buy them for the club using your club fees or resource fees, or however you collect fees. This is a pretty extensive list of apps that I was talking about that are kind of standalone apps that you don't have to have a teacher device. You don't have to have the router hooked up or anything. They can use just they can use cell phone signal, or they can use a Wi-Fi signal or anything like that. These are just standard apps. Some of this list is maybe a year or so, a couple years old maybe. So some of these might not be in there anymore, but if you type in virtual reality in your app store, it's going to come up with a huge amount of apps right now, even more than this list, obviously. So the other cool thing is there is an opportunity. They do make 360-degree cameras. All of this stuff is not made by a company. It's not all made by Google. It's made by people that have 360-degree cameras, and it's made by people that just like you and I that go out and have go out and take these 360-degree pictures and then upload them to the website. So that's something cool to do. And I'm working with a FFA chapter in Lucas County that we're going to make a virtual reality field trip with some at a farm, and we're then going to, the FFA kids are going to, the ag kids are going to take younger youth in the elementary building on this field trip to the farm, which will be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. I don't want to say it's easy to take 360-degree pictures, but once you get the hang of it, it's kind of easy to do. So here's my contact information. If you have any other information on about virtual reality and how to use virtual reality in your classroom or in a club environment, let me know. Email is the easiest way, lawrence.638@osu.edu. That's the easiest way. And then I can share resources back and forth with you via email too. Before I go, I do want to show you kind of what the I kind of want to show you what you see as a teacher's screen here. So this is we're visiting the International Space Station right now, and this is the teacher's device. So the cool thing about the teacher's device, and we'll go over to the user device after we're done showing this. The cool thing about this is there's a ton of information that are in all of these. So you really look like a genius when you go and try to and talk about these different things. The first thing up is the dining room, the dining table. And so this is, and the cool thing is when you click on these things, they automatically go to wherever that is. So the body mass measuring device. And so that's, you can tell the kids that's kind of like, a bathroom scale. Same difference. Here's the window for Earth observation. And there's some camera lenses hanging on the wall. And so the whole time you're going over this, you can actually see the participants in the room with you. So let me try to connect you got multiple devices going on here. We'll try to connect, and I should be able to connect. Yeah, let me stop real quick. Okay, now see up there, see the little smiley face there? That's my phone that I'm moving around here right now. So my phone is looking over at that computer. So the cool thing about this is that if you see somebody looking around and they're not paying attention, then you kind of say, "Hey, come back over here. You need to look at the camera lenses." So then when you look at the camera lenses, it goes over to that. So and then there are multiple. Most of these expeditions have multiple areas that you can actually look at, and then so this one happens to have, I think, 5 or 6, and all of them have different talking points that you can go to, and then of course, if you want to just move it around too, you can always move around the virtual or the area. So now let me move over to my user tablet real quick and show you what it looks like from their end. Okay. Make sure. Okay, so if we were in goggles right now, that's what it would look like in the goggles. But also, it's kind of cool if you didn't happen to have goggles, you could actually full screen it, so it just looks like this. Now, notice it's showing you an arrow pointing at what you need to be looking at. So, what are we looking at? And so, as the kids are looking around. Let's see, let's look at the ultrasound. So you see the arrow is pointing over there. There's the ultrasound. When you get to the ultrasound unit, then, or whatever you're supposed to look at, it goes to that arrow. And then if you pause that, and then I'm going over to the next node, it just pops up on the screen. See, notice I don't have any on the user device. There's no words, there's no reading. That's all for the teacher to talk. So at this point, the students would be looking around node 2 is what we're in right now. So the students would be looking, or the kids would be looking around this node 2, and at the same time, the teacher or you as an advisor or whatever, you're going to be reading about what all you're seeing. So like the crew quarters, there we go. Look over at the crew quarters. Here's the crew quarters. And then there's a small part about crew quarters. So we are going to, I'm going to go back to, my slide real quick. So once again, this is a very, quick short video. I do apologize, there's no interaction. My virtual reality presentation is really meant to be good when there's real good interaction. But if you ever have any questions about how to use virtual reality and how to use Google Expeditions specifically, then let me know. Once again, my contact information is at the bottom of the screen, and I am more than happy to answer any questions that you might ever have about any virtual reality. And as I always say, I'm more than happy to answer any questions about any 4-H problems that you might happen to have as well. So with that being said, I thank you very much, and have a nice afternoon, and I'll see you later.